Our daughters want to believe that they're good people and they're competent and they're kind and they're good, right? And moms want to feel I'm competent, I'm good, I have good intentions, and I'm lovable, right? So when you think that we all really want the same thing, the important thing is to provide safety for each other. And remember that when we're making faces, or you're rolling our eyes, or Lindsay's telling me what to do, or I'm not responding correctly to her, that it's important to remember, how do I make Lindsay feel okay and that I'm not interfering with her life? And how does she make me feel that she's not being critical of me?
Hey everyone, welcome to Bite Your Tongue, the podcast. Join me, your host, Denise Gorant, as we explore the ins and outs of building healthy relationships with our adult children. Together, we'll speak with experts, share heartfelt stories, and get timely advice, addressing topics that matter most to you. Get ready to dive deep and learn to build and nurture deep connections with our adult children. And of course, when to bite our tongues. So let's get started. We're back with another episode of Bite Your Tongue, the podcast, building healthy relationships with your adult children. If I sound a little slower today, it's because I just got home yesterday from a week with my new grandson. He's actually 9 months old now, and what a change. He's all over the place. My daughter's work schedule was intense, so we went to help. We were lucky to stay in an Airbnb, so we weren't on top of them. But go easy on me today. It was a lot of hard work. Here's the truth. You're not the same person in your 60s that you were in your 30s. Not easy, but completely worth it. And yes, I followed all the advice from the podcast. Hugged my daughter first, asked before doing anything in their home, and respected their rules with the baby. So anyway, let's get started with today's episode. Today's episode is especially powerful because my guests don't just study mother-daughter relationships. They've lived it, challenged it, nearly lost it, and rebuilt it. I'm joined by Leslie Glass. She's a best-selling suspense novelist. You might know some of her books, and her daughter, Lindsey Glass. Together, they've written the Mother-Daughter Relationship Makeover, and now they've released the Mother-Daughter Relationship Makeover Workbook, a truly unique blend of memoir, self-help, and hands-on tools designed to help mothers and daughters connect, heal, and rediscover each other. They're also the co-founders of a popular recovery site called reachoutrecovery.com. You'll hear more about this in the interview on why they started this site. They don't shy away from the hard parts. They're going to share all their information on the conflict they had, the separation, whether your relationship with your daughter feels strained, distant, complicated, or simply stuck. This conversation, we hope, will offer real hope and practical guidance. So let's get started. Welcome, ladies. You look terrific down in Florida where it's so warm. I can't stand it. I just got back from Ann Arbor where it was 17 degrees and you guys are living the good life.
Listen, that's what we pay for down
That's
here.
right. But we're talking about mother-daughter relationships. And I think I mentioned to you, we've done about 3 episodes on mother-daughter, and it's been our highest downloaded episodes. I think it's quite a buzz these days. Why do you think there's so much struggle with mothers and daughters as we become older and they're young adults and this friction develops?
I'm going to jump in here. I'm Leslie. I'm the mom. I think that it's important to note that your mom is your first boss, right? She has complete control over you from the moment that you're born. She is the one who tells you what you can do, what you can eat, what you can wear, monitors you're going to school. The child's job is to grow up, be independent, have independent thinking, and be able to manage on their own. So there's an inherent conflict between dependence and independence that starts from the beginning. And I think it escalates over time because there are so many basic conflicts between mothers and daughters.
Yeah, traditionally, I'd researched this for the books. Food, weight, appearance, friends, romantic partners, all of these are kind of big trigger issues for all moms and daughters. Now, one of the things we've been talking about lately is that we believe there's been a bit of a communication breakdown in the last few decades. There's a kind of a lack of respect the way we talk to each other, often the way we say things about each other. If you actually take these phrases out of context, my mom is such a blanking.
My daughter is so stubborn.
You
Oh
know,
my God,
but
she's lazy.
but I think we've gotten into a way of talking to each other and about each other that really diminishes the love and respect we have for each other. So I think that's part of the problems. As all these big issues arise, politics, sexuality, where you stand, we've come to a place where it's really easy to be able to let communication break down fast.
Why do you think that is? Last week I did an interview. I don't know if you've heard of this book, but you ought to get your hands on it. It's called F Them Kids.
Oh
And
my.
Vivian King, and this has become a real trend. I'm also going to interview that woman, Doormat Mom. You've probably read about her in the Wall Street Journal. And it's like they're pushing back. I was a great mother. They're going to have to show respect. I'm not going to bite my tongue.
Exactly. I was just going to say, how is that working for them?
Yeah, they're tired of walking on eggshells. If you were talking to a mother today, she's really heartbroken. She doesn't have a good relationship with her daughter. Where does she start?
Well, I would say knowing that how things are right now is not permanent. Lots of these relationships can change with time, but there's plenty of work that anyone can do right now, whatever situation they're in, to find some clarity and even peace about what happened. I mean, that's why we write the books. It's a lot easier to find some relief and peace about the breakdown of the relationship if you can identify where things went wrong.
How do you do that? Is that part of the workbook?
Yes.
Walk us through that. When I looked at the workbook, I wonder, can a mom just work on it, or does the mom and daughter have to work on it together?
No, you have to actually work on it separately because that's the only way you can really be honest.
Your daughter doesn't get to look at the workbook and the mother doesn't get to look at the daughter's workbook.
I think it can be done in any way that they want to,
Right.
but certainly we recommend. I mean, I did this work on my own, and she did this work on her own, and we did not even discuss it with each other for years and years and years. We would say, do the work on your own. We have a 4-step process.
Right.
The first step is self-discovery. Self-discovery really involves everything from understanding what your mom's been through, your grandmother, what you've been through, and really trying to create kind of a timeline of what's happened in your family, traumas, triggers, all the things that have happened that can help you understand and suss out what's my communication style, what's my personality style, is it matching with this person or is it not?
You talked a lot about triggers and such. I want to give some examples of things. You get to a prickly daughter, a prickly mother. The mother might walk in the daughter's house and say, my gosh, this place is a mess. Let me help you clean it up. And she thinks she's being helpful. The daughter's saying, get the heck out of here because you have no idea how hard I'm working. So this tension's building.
Yeah, I just want to go back to the beginning because, as moms, we're all moms for the first time. We're all moms for the first time. Many of the things that moms say as their daughters and sons are young, you're so lazy, pick up your room. The things that we say to small children may stay in their minds forever. We may remember the way we are as a mom differently from the way they remember us as we were as a mom. One of the conflicts between Lindsey and me was your nutrition for the day is a Coke, right? And so I'm reminding Lindsey all the time that she needs to eat something healthy. And if I've been doing that since she was 15 and she's now 25 and responsible for her own life, that's a trigger. Every time I mention anything that has to do with nutrition, or if I don't like the way Lindsey dresses or she doesn't like the way I dress, that makes you look frumpy or that color looks bad on you or whatever. Every time that look comes on your face, it looks like it's a judgment. So the triggers are, what does your face look like? What do you say? What are you remembering from the past?
Let me ask you a question. You're a mom. I'm a mom. My kids are a little older. You're only 20. You're only 25.
No, I'm well
Okay,
way
I was
past
going to say, wow,
40.
you're accomplished.
No, I'm in my mid to late 40s.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, then you really look beautiful for me.
Oh, thank you so much.
Anyway, I think if I say to my daughter, that outfit doesn't look very good on you, or if she says to me, Mom, that looks frumpy, I'm so open to her feedback. I feel like sometimes it doesn't go both ways. The mother cannot say anything to the daughter, but I'm so open. Tell me what to wear. I'm eager to learn from the younger people, but they're not so eager to learn from us anymore. Do you think that's
Well,
true?
I think.
I disagree.
Okay, go, Lindsay.
Well, I agree with some of it and I disagree with some of it. I definitely think we have a lot of daughters really feeling that their moms are super, super critical and not wanting to hear about it. At the same time, I could speak to plenty of situations where actually the moms can't tolerate hearing any criticism whatsoever.
Really?
Absolutely. So I do think it goes both ways, and it really comes down to a couple of things. If somebody really doesn't want to hear what you have to say, and this is something we're still working on to this day, you do have to bite your tongue. I'm using your words here, but
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes on in our family where I bite my tongue because I know I may not agree with what's happening. I may not like what's being said, but whatever I'm going to say is not going to be well received. What's my goal? To keep
To
peace
have a good relationship.
with all of these people or to be right?
I love that. To have a good relationship with all of these people or be right. That's
Yes.
the best.
That's what I think. When you have mothers and daughters, you really have to decide if my mom or my daughter really can't hear anything from me, can I accept that? I'm not disagreeing that there are a lot of daughters out there that don't want to. My mom was trying to tell me what to cater a party I'm throwing for my boyfriend in a couple weeks. And there's a part of me that's like, I'm throwing the party.
But if your mother was a friend of yours,
Yeah.
okay, and she said, oh, you're having this party, I have this great recipe for X, Y, or Z, you'd say, send it to me.
Absolutely. And you know what? I said, I'm going to need some help baking the focaccia, but
Okay.
I have a vision of what the evening is going to be.
So you didn't get angry.
No. And I also accept, again, her intentions are good. She's a wonderful cook and a wonderful entertainer. She wants it to be a successful evening for me. This mother-daughter stuff, you don't fix it and it's perfect forever.
No.
It's an ongoing negotiation of what can she hear from me? What can't I hear from her? And how are we going to manage that today?
I want to make one point.
Okay.
We all want to believe that we're good people, really profoundly, because we're all a little bit insecure.
I asked her a couple days ago, she wasn't feeling great. And I gave some feedback. It wasn't totally well received. And I said, if I have feedback to give, how would you like to hear it? Like, do you
Yeah.
want me to give you feedback? Because that's a really big thing. So I'm in recovery,
Right.
sober.
And
A lot of what we learn in sponsorship, in recovery is, are you asking me to listen right now? Or do you actually want feedback and advice?
You guys have done a lot of work and you can see that. What I want to ask is when someone says something that may sound hurtful, is there a response or is there something you can say that says, maybe I overstepped my line, I'm sorry? How do you handle that?
Let's say when I've said something that has offended my daughter,
Either way.
I think I just say, didn't mean it that way. Sorry.
And how do you take that?
I love it when she apologizes. Are you kidding? And we both are very quick to say things off the cuff. We've learned because of this process, because of our experiences, we've learned very quickly to say, oof, did that come out in a way that I didn't mean it?
We were on a radio show just an hour ago, and I wanted to put something in, and I'm never supposed to do that. Never supposed to. I interrupted Lindsay while she was speaking on the radio. And so, what I have to do is say, gee, I'm really sorry. That was bad.
Right. But when you say something that's not so great and you say, oops, the daughter still heard it. And I don't think it leaves their mind. Have you been eating a lot lately or anything referencing weight or hair or their child? Joey
Yeah.
was really acting up at my house today. What's going
Yeah.
on? The daughter still heard it.
Let me speak to that.
Good.
Because when we had our little moment the other day and I said, can I give you feedback? I actually thought she had said something about my behavior that I didn't think was totally accurate at that moment. Part of what we really work on is being able to listen. So she actually heard me. In our relationship today, she doesn't have to be right. She doesn't have to be the mom that knows everything. So she sat with it for a minute and she totally understood where I was coming from. Here's the difference. When someone says, oh, you're being too sensitive, that is dismissive. Somebody says, you know what? Didn't mean it that way. That came out wrong. I love that you're making healthy decisions for your own eating. I love that you're choosing your own menu. I'm so proud of you that you're, helping to throw a party. That diffuses it because you're acknowledging that you said something that might have been hurtful. It wasn't what your intention was at all.
You were talking about triggers before, and the trigger is if you say, you've gone back to your bad eating habits, that's a bite your tongue. It's not your business what your daughter is eating. It's not.
I think as a mom or a daughter who feels hurt in that moment, I think part of healing this relationship is feeling safe to say, hey, you know what? That actually hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Standing up for yourself in those moments. One of the questions we get asked a lot is, how do you know what's toxic and what's not? Like what's healthy fighting and what's not healthy fighting?
How do you know that?
Well, toxic fighting is saying, oh, you're being too sensitive. You're not acknowledging somebody's feelings or hurt. The healthy response is, oh, I'm so sorry.
That always shuts it down, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so sorry. It's
Yeah.
interesting though, what you said at the very beginning, your mother was always the boss, what you changed, when you peed, when you pooped, what you ate. And all of a sudden you do have to bite your tongue. You're not the owner of her diet. It's really hard as a mother. If I had an adult child that was eating all processed food and really unhealthy things, it would really be hard to be quiet because you love them so much. You almost want to say, how can I help you? Can I cook for you? But you can't say anything. Is that right?
That's absolutely right, because the more I got onto Lindsey about her health and her eating and her all of whatever her habits were, the more I was concerned about it, the more she wanted to get away from me.
Well, here's what I would say though. Here's a little tweak. When you're picking on somebody and you're shaming them. So I felt shamed.
I didn't think of it that way, of course.
Right. Because you
So-
loved her. You were doing it completely out of love.
Exactly. That was good intention.
And this is what's fascinating. So my mom was an incredibly healthy eater when I was growing up, and I just loved junk food. I ate into my elbows, like all over the French fries. In my 40s, I'm an incredibly healthy eater. So her habits, she did model healthy habits, but it was the picking that's the problem. I think the comment that the parent can make is, hey, if you want to ever talk about adding a little bit more nutrition to your diet or healthy eating or what some of the physical challenges you may face by eating a diet like this all the time, I am here. I'm concerned. I'm open to talking to you about anything you want. I'm not going to pick on you. Make a note. I don't think you have the healthiest diet. And if you ever want some help with that, I'm here.
All right, let's talk about your journey and go through some honesty from the very bottom to how you recovered. I know that not everyone will face this because you went down a path that not all adult children go down. And that's a harder mother-daughter situation. But I think you use some of the same tools that anyone would use to come back from that, from what I understand.
You start, Lindsey.
Okay, I'll start.
And how old were you? I want an idea of age.
Okay, so I want to begin with the context that we had some serious dysfunction in the family. We did not have an easygoing family model because it's always important to give a little bit of context and understand this didn't just happen in a vacuum. It was kind of a tumultuous family situation. We have alcoholism in our family, not just me. Already the stage was kind of set for certain kind of issues. I began my substance abuse when I was 13, 13. So between the ages of 12 and 15, I lost my maternal grandfather, who was the patriarch of our family. I was pretty close to. Then at 15, my childhood sweetheart was in an accident, and then his best friend completed suicide 6 months later. We were faced with, as a family, a very traumatic situation. And in those days, this is like 1990, okay? We weren't talking about trauma recovery. We weren't talking about addiction prevention very much. Everybody was doing the best they could. So I'm gonna fast forward, go down this path. It starts to get pretty serious in my later high school and into college. This coincides with my parents both being very successful and often out of town. And there were some other members of the family who weren't doing well either.
You have siblings, by the way?
Yes, I have a brother who had his own path and we don't talk about it, but
Right,
he's
okay.
doing great now. But,
Right.
it was the perfect storm. We got into a habit of fighting. It got really bad when we were in college. And it was family fighting. It wasn't just us. It was sometimes the boys against the girls. Sometimes we were trying to defend ourselves. But we got into this culture of just screaming at each other. Unfortunately, that never went away. Even after I got sober for the first time at 21, it didn't stick.
Was this just alcohol at this point or drugs too?
Alcohol and drugs.
Okay.
I really struggled in my 20s. We had a very tumultuous relationship. I got totally sober. She ended up not drinking too, but her story is very different and looks very different than mine. We started a company together.
Was that the recovery company that you
Yes.
started? Okay. So that was in your 20s.
I was 30.
Okay. But how did you get to that point? You're fighting. What steps did you take to get there?
I'm going to go here. I have to go back to the fact that most parents don't know, even now, 30 years later, what to do and what kind of restrictions to put on their children when they start using drugs and alcohol. We still don't know.
Right.
Now, when Lindsey started going through her recovery, basically what we wanted to do was to create a pathway for everybody to understand what happens in the family, what does recovery look like. I stopped killing people for a living, basically changed my career from being a mystery writer to being a recovery writer. Basically, Lindsey, who went to work at Random House and has a background in writing as well, what we did was we decided, because A&E and intervention and all of those shows were showing what addiction looked like, we felt that it was not allowing America and the rest of the world to see what happens when people go into recovery. Our mission became to reveal the other side of addiction, which is recovery. We were pioneers in basically writing articles about the recovery journey. And we wrote articles about it. We launched a website that's all over the world. We also created a couple of documentaries. During this time that I was doing this, my daughter was recovering and trying to grow up from her emotional life stopped at the age of 13. So I was still being that mom who was saying, do this, do that, do this, don't do that. Here are your tasks for today.
She living with you at that point?
Well, I lived in a bunch of different places, but she lived in my apartment in New York, on and off, on and off. But basically, when you do a family business with someone, and this is true for everybody, there has to be ground rules. What's your responsibility? Can you fulfill your responsibilities? Are you being a fair employer? Are you being a fair mom? All of those things are things that we had not worked out. We were trying to help the world, but we were not able to manage our own relationship. So here are two people who became relationship experts. We write about it, we know about it, we understand it, but we were still playing the blame game. It was your fault that you did this. It was your fault that you did that. And basically fighting over money and responsibility. It got so bad at one point that Lindsey just said, I'm leaving. I'm done with you. And that's how these kinds of relationships get out of hand, when there is nobody there to be able to say, well, this is what's fair, this is what's right, this is what's going on. Here are the other influences in your life, in your family, that are making it worse instead of making it better. So Lindsey and I literally broke up.
You were estranged for a while, right?
4 years.
4 years you didn't speak to one another.
No.
How did you deal with that as a mom?
I cried. I was desperate. I couldn't understand why she would do this to me. I felt victimized. I also felt that my daughter was dead to me. I didn't know where she was. I didn't know what she looked like. I didn't know if she was living on the street. She had ghosted me. This is the moment where, as a parent, you say, am I going to die or am I going to recover? That was when I sort of said, well, I have the freedom to be me now. I don't have to take care of my daughter anymore. She's not driving me crazy. And it was peaceful because there was no fighting. Now, I was very frightened all the time that I was going to get that telephone call. But my daughter went off and rebuilt her life, and I rebuilt mine. After 4 years of really working on ourselves and thinking about what happened and doing work on ourselves, we slowly reconciled.
How did the reconciliation start? Who reached out?
An
And
important thing to mention. We did this all with the help of mental health professionals.
okay.
One of the reasons we wanted to write the book is, yeah, we have a lot of original ideas in there, but we were supervised. And we wanted to make sure that people who were going to try this or thinking about this understood how it works. So I had both a therapist and was in 12-step programs. Here's the thing about self-help and recovery. We love it, we live it, we write about it because it's worked for us. After 4 years of therapy, inner child work, cognitive behavioral therapy, 12-step program, I wasn't angry anymore. Like, I missed my mom. I wanted my family back. I understood that my behavioral problems had caused a huge, I understood my part. Everything had kind of changed. So I wanted to reconcile first. She wasn't really ready.
Really?
Yes, because I had the help of sponsors and therapists, we knew what to do. At first, it was sending cards, telephone calls, videos of the dogs. We both love dogs. We both love to cook. It was reaching out and connecting with her in a way that made her feel safe, in a way that allowed us to interact without having to talk about anything that had happened for like a year.
We also had the rules were, you don't ask me for money. Do not ask me for money. What else?
Well, I don't think it wasn't that simple. I'd gone off and become independent.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to ask.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
the mother still had that in her history. So don't come back because you need money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also want to say it's funny. We've been watching these shows where there's an addict daughter and they're stealing and demanding money. I want to be clear, our money issues had to do with work. It was
Yeah.
Right,
never
right.
stealing. If you have somebody in the house doing that, get them out. It's not safe. That's part of it, is getting to know each other again without doing any of the behaviors you were doing. So suddenly she's like, oh, you have a job in a copywriting business? Oh, you have a boyfriend and you live in wherever? Like, oh, and you could almost see the eyes widening and the light bulb. Like, she didn't fail. She went out and she was okay.
Had you given up on her? I mean, I'm shocked. I would never have thought this, that the mother, after 4 years, would be more hesitant to reconnect. Usually the mother or the parents are waiting with bated breath for the estranged child to come back. Yet you were not ready. Why?
Well, first of all, I wanted her to apologize. I wanted her to say she was sorry for what she did to me. Because honestly, we had a movie that was about to be released, and Lindsey left during our production phase. I was left with a company and employees that I had to pay, feeling basically that we were a failure because my partner left me. I felt extremely betrayed, but I think the other part of it, she left. And you can't just come back and pretend it didn't happen. I didn't want her to come back and pretend it didn't happen.
She was mad at you too. She left because she was angry.
Yes,
Did you
yes.
expect your mom to apologize too?
Oh, good question.
I knew that wasn't going to happen up front. We ultimately both apologized to each
Yeah.
other with time. No, I was not looking for an apology. Even to this day, tough conversations about it. We both did wrongs.
Mm-hmm.
We understand that today, that I ran away because I was worried about my well-being. And I understand that the consequences of my actions were severe. I also felt that I had to do at that time what I did to stay sober. I was struggling. That's part of our recovery, is her coming around and understanding that I had to do some things to recover. And also I had to acknowledge that my leaving created damage.
I just want to add, Denise, you said, why would a mother not want to reconcile? And I would say fear. I would say a fear that you're going to just go back to what you had before, particularly if you have a child that you feel is abusive or blaming of you. You don't want to experience that again. You don't want to. In order for me to feel that and I think that this is really the core of the mother-daughter relationship. You need to feel safe with the other person. It wasn't until I felt that I could be safe with Lindsey and that she wasn't going to beat me up for things that I had done earlier in our lives that we were able to just have fun together. We can work together. We have common goals. We have common values. But our communication styles and our compassion for each other has to be at the center of our relationship. As soon as I felt that Lindsey could bite her tongue when I annoyed her, that I was ready to reconcile.
There's two parts to this question. First, I'm going to say what that sounded like was if the person I interviewed said, you know what, I can't take it anymore. I
Yeah.
can't take them putting me down. So if
I
they're
get it.
gone, they're gone. Similar to that. Now I want to figure out how you come back. I think very few young adult children learn that they have to bite their tongues.
Yes.
It's all on the mother. I want to go to the book and the workbook and how parents can work with these to move towards what you guys have found. I think it's hard for an adult daughter to recognize her role. I mean, other than you left the company, you left her holding the bag. That's a whole different thing. That could be two employees, but you were mother and daughter. How does the young adult child start recognizing what their role is in this when this mother's been working so hard on biting her tongue and the daughter just is like, great, she's not saying all the criticism anymore? Help my listeners know what some steps are.
I want to start with, there was a basic fundamental thing in me that acknowledged things weren't going well for me, and I wanted to know why, and I wanted to be okay. When we had our breakup, which was at the advice of a therapist, I was in intensive therapy for years, not like a couple months. I was in intensive therapy for years. And I'd be doing one kind of therapy, and the therapist would say, well, now you got to go to Al-Anon. And I'd go to Al-Anon, and they'd say, well, now you got to go to the financial program. I had sponsors that sat in front of me and would hear me do my step work, would turn to me and say, because that sponsorship is different than therapy. They would say, the way you're describing your mom right now, you could be talking about yourself. I was getting feedback. Her telling me the things that were wrong with me or whatever, that wasn't going to go well. But when I said, hey, I'm 30 years old, I'm divorced. I'm 30 years old, I'm a recovering addict. I'm 30 years old, I've never kept a job more than 3 years. That was facts about me and my life. So when I was able to be accountable and say, okay, what has been affecting my life? Part of it was negative family relationships. When I was able to step away and do all that work on myself, I realized that, yeah, maybe I learned some of this stuff from family, but I was part of the problem. So I never wanted to reconcile thinking I wasn't part of the problem. I knew I was part of the problem.
I've got thousands of listeners. Not everyone, number one, has the money to get therapy. What I hope is they buy your book and your workbook and work from there. Okay. What are the steps they can take? You talk a lot about your book is understanding your past, understanding your triggers. What can parents or mothers and daughters do to start on their journey towards healing when they feel this conflict? They have a relationship with their daughter, but it's prickly. The mother particularly is watching what she's saying all the time, trying to be sensitive to the daughter. How do they bring them together to a real compassionate relationship?
I think, first of all, it's really important for daughters to understand what their mothers are going through. That is what the workbook allows you to do, is to take a look at and have some compassion and understand, why does your mother do the things she does? Why does she say the things she says? What is her culture? Where does all of this come from? If you first look back, that is our journey of self-discovery. And I think everybody should be doing this journey of self-discovery, because your mother and your grandmother and your great-grandmother have all had traumas. They've all had secrets and lies. They've all had influences from the men and other relationships in their family that have caused them to act the way they do to the daughter. Remember, moms are moms for the first time. They're working, they're running the house, they're taking care of their children, and the daughters are only thinking about what is happening and what their feelings are right now. if you look back and look at the culture from hundreds of years ago that's still affecting the way my mother is talking to me, then you begin to be able to say, oh, I get why she did this.
Another answer is get the workbook and
Yeah.
just start the process. What the workbook does, self-discovery, it talks about your biggest issues, it helps you understand your triggers and traumas, but it goes beyond that. It gives you replacement phrases.
Yeah.
Can you give us a couple examples of those? I love listeners to take away some tools.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do everything from understanding your mood charts to understanding what the issues are. We're going to go back to food because it's such an easy example.
Okay.
Literally changing the script. So if you're used to walking in and seeing your mother or your daughter eating badly and going, oh my God, pizza again, we're giving you new words, which is, oh, okay, I'm glad you're making your own choices about food. And I respect however you're going to be, or I just want you to be happy and healthy, and I support your choices.
Why would you say anything? If I walked in and my daughter, who's eating junky food all the time, was eating a big greasy pizza, maybe I shouldn't say anything.
Maybe you shouldn't say anything at all. That's absolutely part of it.
You can also model other kinds of eating. So you can get in the house, you can get other things in the house, other kinds of snacks and other kinds of food. Other kinds of replacement things are not, you look terrible in that dress, or you could lose a few pounds, you'd look better. I have a friend who has gorgeous hair. She has very long hair. The mother is always saying, you'd be so pretty if you cut your hair.
That's a common one.
But the hair, as Gloria Steinem once said, hair is everything. So you don't tell your daughter who has beautiful hair to cut her hair because that's her pride and joy.
Steps 3 and 4, it really include a lot about what you can do today to be healthier and happier no matter what the situation is. On top of getting clarity about what happened, understanding your issues. We have charts, but at the end, the other stuff we get into is how to lead a recovery lifestyle. And what that includes is exercise, spirituality, being of service to other people. I mean, a lot of your life and your relationships can improve when you stop looking at somebody else, you start looking at your own life, and you start giving yourself the things that you need. Mothers and daughters are often very codependent. If the mom or the daughter is looking for their happiness or approval from the other person, the thing you can start doing right now is start working on it yourself. And again, the workbook, the first book, it really walks you through all the things you can do to take responsibility for yourself and take the onus off the other person, because you can't fix her and she may not want to fix herself. But you can fix yourself, and you can learn to think about it in a way that's going to make you feel better.
I do want to go back to this idea of fuck my kids. Excuse my...
the kids.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Well, here's the thing. If I were the kid of a mom who wrote a book like that, it would be very hard to reconcile. Basically, I know that both of my kids were horrible to me verbally at various times in my life. I definitely got very angry at my son at different times. And there's always a moment that you ask yourself, what do I want? Do I want to have a relationship with this person, or do I want to win and show them that I'm throwing them away?
It's not one-sided. I mean, these fights that get so ugly, we all have to be accountable.
A lot of people are making the same comments you're making about doormat mom too. What adult child wants their mom out on the internet talking about their horrible relationship and what their child does to them?
It's really hard to come back. And truly, a lot of our reconciliation and the way things are okay now is we're not always airing the dirty laundry.
No, we're not.
We said bad things to each other. Part of healing and recovery is saying, we did it, we're sorry about it, we don't do it now. One of the biggest things we want people to walk away from our books with, from this interview, how are you talking to each other? A lot of people are very quick to say, oh, my daughter says this, my daughter's awful, but where did she learn it from?
Oh.
These things don't happen in a vacuum. I'm not pointing my finger at my mom, but we had family dysfunction. I learned it somewhere.
You learned it from dad. Maybe you learned it from your brother. Maybe you learned it.
Yeah.
You know, but where did you learn it?
I'm just saying.
You learned your grandmother, wherever you learned it.
We know somebody that wrote a terrible book about her mom.
Yeah.
And she was panned for doing it. Part of healing was us making the decision not to do that to each other.
Sometimes I think, particularly mothers and daughters, and I could be wrong, correct me. You're the experts. I'm not. I just listen. Because you feel closest to this person, you take your anger out on them.
Absolutely.
And so both of you didn't feel good about yourselves, is my guess. When you yell at someone else and say mean things to other people, you're really dealing with something inside yourself. You can't say it to your neighbor. You can't say it to your best friend, but it feels safer to say it to your daughter, yet it really isn't.
That's correct. But I think, once again, we all want to be loved.
We all want to be loved.
That's
We
a
wanna be
really
loved.
big thing. They do it in executive training sometimes about how you can't treat your family the worst because you sometimes when you're home, you're your worst self with the people.
Yeah, because you have to hold it together all day, every day,
Right.
everywhere.
What we are pitching, you still got to keep it together when you're at home. You got to respect people.
There's a lot of talk now on the internet, on Reddit, and everything about toxic parents, boundaries. All these things are causing more and more kids to estrange from their parents.
Yeah.
And at
Yeah.
some point, well, and you also said this too. This was interesting. I almost said it earlier. You weren't doing great in your life, and they tend to blame the parent. Okay, so you did this to me, so I'm leaving you.
Totally fair. And I want
Yeah.
to be very clear that when the therapist recommended this, and we don't think it was the right thing, but what the therapist said to me is, you're never going to be okay unless you go out and you grow up and you figure out who you are and
Right.
want without
Right.
that family. It's an interesting thing. And once I was out there on my own, there was no one to blame. If I didn't succeed,
It was
I
your
couldn't
fault.
blame it on my mom anymore.
A lot of young adults that are older than you were at that point are choosing estrangements more because they haven't lived up to what they thought they should live up to. And who are they going to blame it on but mom and dad?
We are pitching also, try not to let it get to that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Try to look at yourself, try to look at your mom, try to see who everybody is and where they're coming from. And if maybe a few switches around communication and boundaries can
So true.
dramatically change things.
So true. One interviews I did was Lindsey Gibson, who wrote The Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Kids.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Yeah.
Boy, we're all a little emotionally immature, let me tell you. Everybody is. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap this up, and I'm going to ask you both to tell me your 2 takeaways you hope people remember from this interview. Can you tell me what those are?
My takeaway, I really want people to think about how they're communicating with each other. Like really think about their words, the words that are being said to them and the words they're saying to other people, because it all begins and ends with how we're communicating. The other thing is, because I'm a recovery person, I think it's critically important that you work on yourself first. Work on yourself first and pray and hope things can change.
Well, I think it's very important to have compassion. I think you need to be able to have compassion for your daughter and your mother and basically learn as much as you can about what is going on with them and what they've been through and what kind of traumas they've experienced. And also have hope as you work on yourself. As I worked on myself, what did I do to make myself happy when my daughter was gone? Well, I did gardening and I did my orchids and I learned some baking tricks and I had my neighbors over. I started enjoying holidays again and I basically recovered what was important to me. I want to recover the happy times that I had with my daughter when she was little. I think that we all have happy memories. And I think that we need to find ways to go back to that playtime and that enjoy time that we had as mothers and daughters, as young children. Find hope, find compassion, and basically really remember what those triggers are. Because the triggers are what is making me feel angry, hurt, defensive, and how can I prevent that from happening to people I love.
Well, I want to thank both of you so much, and I want to congratulate you. I mean, this has been quite a journey for you. And not only have you recovered from it, but you're helping other people. That also, I would imagine, makes you feel good and makes for a more positive relationship with each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Well, that was a meaningful conversation, really interesting, different from a lot of our other ones, but I just want to thank them for their vulnerability, their honesty, deeply fractured relationship they had and how they rebuilt it. For those of you listening, their books, The Mother-Daughter Relationship Makeover and The Mother-Daughter Relationship Workbook. It's not about perfection. It's about awareness, as they said, accountability, understanding yourself. It's hard work, guys. If we want good relationships, we have to put the work in. And hopefully our adult children will as well. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. Call us at our Bite Your Tongue listener line, 719-347-1106. Tell us what struck you about today's episode, what you'd like to learn more about, and any challenges you might have in your own life with your adult children. I want to make sure to thank Connie Gorant Fisher. You have no idea how hard she works to make all of us sound better. And of course, visit our website, biteyourtonguepodcast.com. For just $5, you can support us. You have no idea how much it helps to cover our basic fees. I do this out of the bottom of my heart, not because we're making any money. Biteyourtonguepodcast.com, go to the Support Us tab, and send us some support. And remember, sometimes healing starts not with saying more, but with listening better and knowing when to bite your tongue.